So, are the Kansas City Chiefs a lock for the first ever three-peat in league history? Can Josh Allen outdo what Lamar Jackson did this past Christmas? And who will come out as our 2024 league champion? We're going to see if we can find the answers to those questions and a lot more as we recover from Christmas and get you ready for the final week of 2024. It is our continuation of week 17 right here on Fantasy Football Fever, which starts right about now. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to, I guess what you could call part 2 of our Week 17 edition of Fantasy Football Fever. Hope, excuse me. Hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas. Hope you had a lot of food. Hope you had a lot of fun with family and friends. Hope you got a lot of presents. Maybe you got some presents that you want to take back, but you'd probably do that some other time. But anyway, we're back here on Friday, December 27th, 2024. Of course, I'm Tim McClelland. This guy over here is the host of Football Sports, John Flynn. And of course, the guy down below me here is our league commissioner, John Natale. Gentlemen,
Yeah.
how was your Christmas?
Yeah, pretty good.
It was very good. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, mine was very quietly pleasant. No rowdiness, no crazy things went on. Just a wonderful time with my family. It was just absolutely wonderful. So we're now past Christmas and going right into New Year's weekend coming up. Actually starts tomorrow actually because we got three games coming tomorrow, but we'll get to that in just a moment. But first of all, I'm going to have a little bit of a recap of the three games that took place starting on Christmas Day. The Chiefs had no problem with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kansas City 29, Pittsburgh 10. Big day for Patrick Mahomes, 320 passing yards. Najee Harris was the top rusher with 74 yards. And Travis Kelce with 84 yards. And Travis Kelce became the all-time touchdown receiver in Chiefs history. Congratulations to that future Hall of Famer. Anything stand out with this one?
I mean, I thought it was a clean, crisp game from the Kansas City offensively, and I think it was really that the passing attack took their game to the next level, and I think having Hollywood Brown back, he only had 4 catches for 46 yards, but he really freed things up for Xavier Worthy and Travis Kelce, and each of them had 8 receptions, a receiving touchdown, and around 80 yards receiving. So Xavier Worthy 22.9 points, Travis Kelce 22.4 points, and then Patrick Mahomes. He looked as good as he's looked all year. 320 yards passing, which the second most in a game this season. 3 touchdown passes and 26 fantasy points. So I think those are the big things there. But it was another disappointing day for the Steelers. And Russell Wilson, he had a rushing touchdown on the day. But really, the Steelers actually did a good job running the football. But when they got behind so much, they just had to throw the ball a lot. Jalen Warren, 71 rushing yards. Najee Harris, 74 rushing yards alongside 7 yards receiving. And then Russell Wilson, in addition to his 205 yards passing and an interception, he had a rushing touchdown. Now, Pat Frymuth, 7 catches for 60 yards, but he lost a fumble. So we'll see if Pat Frymuth fantasy owners lose matchups this week because of that. But it was just not a fun day in the office for the Steelers, who had -2 fantasy points this week.
Oh, Natale, anything stand out to you?
Yeah, I'm also to add that I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that win just clinched the Chiefs the number 1 seed.
Yeah,
You would be correct, sir.
yeah.
So now next week they have absolutely nothing to play for. I anticipate them resting their starters. So I'll just say that in advance. Whoever the Chiefs are playing next week, I'm picking that team. Because the Chiefs have absolutely nothing to play for.
Which is the Broncos.
Yeah, I'll be picking the Broncos that week because the Chiefs have absolutely nothing to play for. I anticipate them resting all their starters.
So, yeah, I mean, which is one of the zaniest things I've ever seen. So with the Chiefs, with the way they've been playing all season, that you think they'd have way more than just one loss, but the AFC teams had their shots, but it's not meant to be. So,
yeah, I forgot about that. I think they wanted that number 1 seed wrapped up, so no surprise Mahomes went all out.
And so the next time the Chiefs play a meaningful game is going to be in 3 weeks. So
right.
Yeah. So with that, the Chiefs do lock up the number 1 seed. So the road to New Orleans in the AFC will have to go through Arrowhead. 15 wins, first time in team history. 15 wins, or 15-1. Steelers are 10-6. Steelers are still bound for the playoffs, but I kind of got a feeling they might be backing their way in there instead of just going headlong. So we have a question that just came out here. Let's see if we can get one right there. Let's okay, we have Ace 24. He's at a PPR league. He's at a PPR championship game. He's got Spears, Myers, Ford. Assuming Pollard plays, and if Pollard doesn't play also.
I mean, so looking at Jacoby Myers for the Raiders against the Saints, you have Jerome Ford for the Browns against the Dolphins, then Tyjae Spears against Jacksonville. So I think Tyjae Spears has got more of the workload recently, so I would start Tyjae Spears.
Yeah, I would definitely do the same thing.
He's got a favorable matchup.
Yeah, very favorable.
Coming off like over 20-point performance last time around.
Okay, so there's what we had to say about that. Thanks for watching, Ace. And tell your friends about us. And be sure to share this show with you. So next we have the late afternoon Christmas game. One of the biggest blowouts after the shutout that we saw last week. This time we almost had another one. It was the Baltimore Ravens just cleaning up business in Houston against the Ravens, 31-2. 31-2. That is not a misprint.
Is that a scoreagami or not quite?
No. So that score happened twice before. Last happening in 1965.
So C.J. Stroud led the passing with 185 yards. Derrick Henry on the ground had another 147 yards. And Mark Andrews with 68 yards on this one. Oh my goodness. Lamar Jackson. Those people who are about to etch Josh Allen's name on the MVP award, Lamar Jackson came in and said, hey, not so fast.
Yes, he did. 168 yards passing through the air, 2 passing touchdowns, and on the ground, 87 rushing yards on just 4 attempts, including a 48-yarder and a touchdown. on that one. So, and Lamar Jackson, let's see, and he wound up on the day scoring about 29 fantasy points in most PPR settings.
Yeah. So as I said here, Derrick Henry, 27 carries, 147 yards on a touchdown. Jackson scored a touchdown on his own. Looking at Mark Andrews was Zay Flowers had 2 receptions for 31 yards on 5 targets. Nico Collins had 6 targets, caught 3 passes for 59 yards. And John Michie III had 8 targets, 5 receptions, 48 yards. But wow,
So
pretty much blew them away.
Yeah, and I mean the thing was only one play. The Ravens only attempted 17 passes, and no receiver, no pass catcher caught more than 2 passes for Baltimore. It was an efficient game. They and they were able to wear the Texans out, and it was just all sorts of ugly for the Houston Texans. Saying that CJ Stroud turned out to be a double agent. The Texans combined for just 58 rushing yards, and Joe Mixon only had 9 carries for 26 yards, averaged just 2.9 yards per carry. And he did have a couple of catches to get something, but it's all for naught.
So with that, the Ravens are 11-5. The Texans are 9-7.
And also with that, the Texans are officially locked into the 4 seed in the AFC. That they
got nothing to play for next week either.
Yeah, and they're on the road in Tennessee taking on the Titans.
We'll catch up on them later. And then last night, Thursday Night Football. If I'm not mistaken, this is the lowest scoring game all season.
I think you would be correct.
You thought it was the Seattle Mariners against the Chicago Cubs. No, it was not. It was the Seahawks and the Bears, and the Seahawks beat the Bears by a score of 6-3. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, 6-3. Leading the way in passing, Geno Smith, 160 passing yards. Zach Carbonet with 57 yards on the ground. DJ Moore receiving 54 yards in this one. And to say this was, I got no words for this one.
I mean, Seattle's best fantasy score was their defense / special teams for obvious reasons. They wound up scoring 16 points in fantasy, because yeah, it was just bad all the way around. So that they allowed just 179 yards of offense. They set 7 sacks on Caleb Williams and an interception. So that was bad. Although the Bears weren't as great, but they kept them in the game. 265 yards of offense allowed, and 3 sacks and a fumble. So it was pretty boring. But at least the game ended before 11 o'clock.
Yeah. So even though the Seahawks did get a victory, it was like only 6-3, and I guess I'll have to play this for both the Seahawks and the Bears.
We couldn't do diddly poo offensively. We couldn't make a first down. We couldn't run the ball. We didn't try to run the ball. We couldn't complete a pass. We sucked.
Oh yeah, big time.
And I'll go ahead and throw this one in.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Yeah, it was pretty bad there. But with that victory, the Seahawks go to 9-7. The Bears are 4-12. Of course, the Bears have nothing to play for except for maybe a good draft position. So I guess with that takes care of the early Week 17 games here. And with that, what are we going to do now? I guess we could look at what's going on so far in our league championship matchup.
Yes, most definitely. Give me 1 second here. It's okay while I pull up the matchup here. So it's good. As you know, we have John Natale against Lucas in our championship, and each player has already played 3 times. Um, has played 3 players so far.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right now, while Flynn is getting that up, we can say, as Flynn mentioned earlier, Lamar Jackson had a big 29.42 fantasy points over on the tally side. DeAndre Swift got him 12.1. Zach Carbonet got him 10.6. Meanwhile, George Pickens only got 8 points for Lucas, as well as getting 8.9 from Nico Collins. And Chris Boswell with 4 points even. So we'll just take a look at that right there.
Yeah, as you said, I did make a slight change a couple days ago.
Okay, elaborate if you would.
I opted to drop the Bronco defense in favor of the Eagles defense. We'll see how that decision fares. Because now the only thing is I made that change prior to Jalen Hurts being ruled out. So we'll see.
Okay.
But the Cowboys have been playing awful lately, and now without CeeDee Lamb, it might be the right choice. We'll see.
Yeah, it might be. So right now,
so somehow the Bengals are a little bit streaky lately, so I'm not sure with the Bronco defense. I was kind of iffy on that.
I mean, I tell you what, this
if you look down at my bench, I made the right choice by not starting the Steelers because only 2 points.
Right. And notice that you decided to go with Jared Goff against the Niners, as opposed to Jordan Love against the Vikings. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, so we're gonna have some Monday Night drama potentially.
I mean, especially if you had Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon St. Brown, in your leagues, or Deebo Samuel, or if you're starting Brock Purdy, that you're definitely gonna have some intriguing Monday nighters.
Yeah, and we both have Saturday players playing. Well, my guy's not locked in yet, but we'll see. I moved James Conner to the flex for now, just to see what happens.
Yep.
Well, actually, no, I have 2 players going. He has 1. I got Marvin Harrison Jr. for tomorrow.
Marvin Harrison Jr. and James Conner.
Yep. And he's got Hunter Henry for tomorrow.
Could be an interesting matchup against those Rams. And Lucas has Hunter Henry for the Patriots. They'll be going up against the Chargers.
Yeah, right now I'm sitting okay, but it's still really early yet.
Yeah, so right now 52.12 to 20.9, but yeah, as you said, still early.
Because if Goff gets touchdown passes to Amon St. Brown, that's going to make things interesting.
Oh yeah.
It's against the 49ers defense that's just decimated by injuries. Now, so Lucas did bench the Ravens defense though, so that was a bit of a hit, but it's an informed decision because the Colts against the Giants, and you don't know where they're going to go. So
right.
Yeah,
I mean that's kind of why I picked the Eagles defense. I wasn't because I think the Bengals have been playing kind of well lately.
Yeah, I said, but also I think the Bengals have been playing some lesser defenses though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean anyway, in case anyone was concerned about the rest of our matchups, I'd say I'm going in the third place match against Casey. And Casey has started the Chiefs defense, which was a good. And then Kiami Fairbairn did not have a single kicking attempt.
Yeah.
Whereas I started Ernest Jones and then Keenan Allen, and neither one reached their totals. And Casey's projected right now at 142.3 and 128.3. Then the fifth and sixth place matchups will go through that definitely go through this quickly. Tim and Dino. Right now Dino's stake to a big lead thanks to Travis Kelce, and Tim getting underperformances from Joe Mixon and say Flowers. And then the seventh and eighth place, Adam is currently blowing out Andrew right now, thanks to Patrick Mahomes and Derrick Henry, while Andrew got Xavier Worthy and Roquan Smith. And then for the 9th, 10th place game, we got Putnam against David, and none of the players have yet to play. So that's really the big story in our league.
Yeah, that's right here. So with those being those games taken care of, looks like we have some more questions coming in here. Oh, we got Dashy. Yeah. Oh, he's got a trivia question, but we'll get to that in just a little while. So
Yeah, I have one also for later.
So they decided to well, the Cowboys have decided go ahead and shut down CeeDee Lamb for the whole season. So I'm probably seeing maybe more. There's going to be more targets for Brandon Cooks, maybe Jalen Tolbert. Now Cavante Turpin, that guy could be a he could be a dual threat. I mean, he can run the ball too as well as kick some. So might be seeing him get a bit more work in. And as far as that game is related, it looks like it's going to be the former Steeler Kenny Pickett will be starting for Jalen Hurts in that game, as was mentioned. So, but for some reason, I really don't think it's going to change my decision on who I picked. So we'll get to that later.
Yeah, and like one thing that I saw was that in games where Jalen, since Sirianni took over, in games where Jalen Hurts didn't play, the Eagles are 0-3 in those games.
Interesting there. Looks like Kenneth Walker III. He has been placed on the IR, so he's pretty much done for the season there.
Yeah, and it still didn't help Zach Charbonnet at all on Thursday. Despite the cup of running back being a temporary release.
Yeah. I mean, his involvement in the passing game kind of saved him. He got to double digits that way.
Yeah. Yeah, which is fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, from the Arizona Cardinals, of course, they got a game against the Rams tomorrow night actually. But both of their running backs, James Conner and Trey Benson, are questionable. So
yeah, I think Conner appears on track to play, as far as I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what I saw too. So,
how much of a workload is he going to get? That's the question, especially with them eliminated from the playoffs already.
Yeah,
one thing that concerns me about starting him.
Yeah, and by both were limited participants in practice this week, and like they are in fact questionable for that game.
I guess so. And from Buffalo, it looks like Josh Allen, he had some elbow and shoulder injuries, but he was a full participant in practice yesterday. And they say he is good to go on Sunday against the New York Giants.
Yeah.
Jets.
New York Jets, yes. Yeah, Buffalo against the New York Jets. So, the only meaning for this game is that Buffalo is still trying to get a very, very high seed in the playoffs, so they can get at least a home game to start the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think and for the Bills to do it, they'll need to win one of their last 2 games to do it because Baltimore right now in leading the AFC North and the most Baltimore can get to is 12. So Buffalo or a Buffalo tie would work as well. So. And also speaking of that game, Devontae Adams was dealing with the hip injury, and his status for Sunday is questionable.
Okay, so
yes, so I think I feel like he is going to play. And of course, Devontae Adams having back-to-back week excellent performances down the stretch. For the Jets that you had the Jacksonville game a couple weeks ago where he had nearly 200 receiving yards in that one.
Here, looks like Gashi just put up a thing here. This is J.K. Dobbins makes his return to the starting lineup tomorrow for the Chargers. Has that been confirmed?
Yes, that has been confirmed. He has been activated off injured reserve, and he is going to start at running back for the Chargers. And I think he's going to get a pretty substantial workload because Gus Edwards is not going to play because of an ankle injury, and I think his return can't come soon enough for the Chargers. That J.K. Dobbins is great when it comes to representing the physicality. And which is the identity of the Chargers, and there are a few players on that roster that emblemize that better than he does.
So Gus out, JK back in. I think the Chargers should be okay.
Yeah, and I think, and if you look at his matchup, I think they're playing the Patriots, so you figure it's going to be a game. So if the Chargers get out to an earlier lead, the game script will probably be that he's going to run the ball quite a bit here.
All right, that's good news for that here. We got another question here from IP14. Pick one for flex full PPR. Drake London or J.K. Dobbins. I think. Now, this is interesting. It's got Drake London for the Falcons, right? And then J.K. Dobbins coming back with the Chargers. Ooh.
I think you got to go J.K. Dobbins here.
Yeah, it looks like he would have a more favorable matchup against the Patriots than Drake London would have there. Drake London's going to be going up against a Commander defense that is pretty darn good.
I mean, it's been better. So, but I think if you're looking at a bell cow, I think J.K. Dobbins makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Yeah, I think I like that one too.
He says he's got a couple other
injuries, but yeah,
he's got a couple other options: Malik Neighbors and Jawan Jennings.
Yeah, well, Neighbors has a questionable tag, I believe, right now.
Yeah, and also they're playing on Sunday in the rain. It's because we're supposed to be getting some heavy rain on Sunday. So I don't know if Neighbors is going to be if an already grounded aerial attack will be even more grounded because they won't be able to throw the ball in the rain.
Yeah. Yeah, Jawan Jennings I would definitely rule out, but I don't think he's really worth it at this point. But yeah, out of those four, definitely Dobbins.
Yeah, that's what I'd say. So, thanks for that question. Thanks for watching. Spread the word about us. Appreciate all the questions you guys are giving us. Um, I think the only other topic that we have to talk about, just a few hours ago, kind of a sad note, not only for NFL, but for all sports in particular. And sir, if any of y'all may or may not know watching out there, the great Greg Gumbel, the great broadcaster, formerly of ESPN and with CBS Sports, passed away earlier today at the age of 78. He was, in my opinion, he was one of my favorite broadcasters. He did NFL, he did NCAA college basketball, he called it the Olympics, done a lot of events. So he was one of the best.
I'd say I think my generation's memory of Greg Gumbel is Selection Sunday for the NCAA tournament. That we would all print out blank brackets, and then we would fill them out as he announced all the teams, and like with everybody all the schools around the country watching. And he was the one that announced all the names that would be playing, the names of the schools that'd be playing in the big dance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like my favorite NFL memory of Greg Gumbel was remember that Ravens Broncos playoff game a couple of years ago, 12 years ago. The game went to double overtime, and he was and Joe Flacco threw that 70-yard Hail Mary to Jacoby Jones against the Broncos defense that wasn't properly prepared for that play.
I think sounds a little familiar.
Yeah, I may have to look that up. I'm pretty sure they have a video of it on YouTube somewhere. So.
And also speaking of the Ravens, also when OBJ went off on the Ravens in 2016, that he caught a 75-yard touchdown and a game-winning 66-yard touchdown on a 4th and 1. Which kickstarted the Giants' run to the playoffs that season.
Oh yeah. I can't really think of any great Greg Gumbel moments because he was pretty good, but yeah, great loss for the great sports world, and
he called 2 Super Bowls, the Ravens and the Giants, when the Ravens blew out the Giants, and then the Patriots Carolina Super Bowl. It was a back and forth affair. That was Brady's 2nd Super Bowl.
Yeah, so great loss to this world, but great broadcaster. He'll not be forgotten. Rest in peace, Greg Gumbel. So yeah, great loss. He'll never be forgotten. So
and since this is our first Friday broadcast of the season, and since we have injury designations, let's go through some of them right now. Let's see. Chris Olave, he's questionable with a concussion. The Saints taking on the Raiders on Sunday. It's in the Carolina-Tampa Bay game. Chuba Hubbard is questionable with a knee injury. Xavier Legette has hip and wrist injuries, so he is questionable for Sunday. In terms of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they will be without Cade Otton, the tight end, with a knee injury. It's Tennessee and Jacksonville. Tony Pollard is listed as questionable with an ankle injury. Tyler Boyd is questionable with a foot injury. Let's see, Cowboys and Eagles. We talked about CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Tolbert. If you're looking for Cowboys wide receiver depth, Jalen Tolbert has a finger injury. His status is questionable. For Philly, even though there's no Jalen Hurts because of the concussion, that Saquon Barkley and AJ Brown were full participants in practice today, and they will be good to go on Sunday against the Dallas Cowboys. With that. Other games, this is interesting. So the Dolphins-Browns game on Sunday, that Tua Tagovailoa, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle are all questionable for Sunday. Yeah, and then the Browns, David Njoku is out with a knee injury. Cedric Tillman is still out with that concussion. Jameis Winston is a right shoulder injury. He's questionable to back up Dwayne Thompson-Robinson, who was a full participant in practice today. In Green Bay, Minnesota, Christian Watson has a knee injury. His game status is questionable, but I think Matt LaFleur talked to the press today and said that things are trending in the right direction for Christian Watson.
All right. Well.
Are there any more notables? Tim McClelland was previously listed on the injury report, but he was a full participant in practice on that. Isaac Correndo was limited in practice, but the 49ers are trying to get him back for their home regular season finale against Detroit.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems like the injury bug has just been hitting all these guys here lately, especially with all those Lions players on defense. I mean, it's just coming coming down very hard on that. So basically, those are the notable injury reports for this week here. So I guess we can do a little trivia.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea.
Okay, you got one, Dash, got one, I got one. What about you, Flynn?
I think I have one. I just want to make sure I have the correct answer before I unveil it.
All right, then. So, get that up there, and let me find Dash's question here. Here it is. When the Bengals hosted the Broncos at Cincinnati, Corey Dillon broke Walter Payton's single-game rushing record with this number of rushing yards. He's only given us one hit. The previous record was 275.
So I'm gonna go with like 296. I think I'm just throwing it out right.
I think it was like 280 something.
Yeah, I think I was in the 280 range also. I'm going to say 283.
283. I'm going to say 286. Maybe 286. That's probably what I'm going to say. So that Natale, go ahead with yours.
All right. Yeah. Mine's going to focus on the 2-point performance that the Texans pulled. It turns out that was the first time they scored 2 points in a single game. However, one team has been the victim of that 3 times when they scored 2 points in a single game. Which team was that?
So it would have to be a team that has been historically bad offensively, but pretty good defense.
So, or maybe like in the early history of the NFL, because you had a lot of low scoring games back then.
Right.
So it feels like it feels like we're going in that route.
Well, yeah. I'll give you some clues. The most recent occurrence for this team happened to them in 1963, and the earliest occurrence that it happened to them was 1937.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
I think I've got 2 teams in mind on that one.
All right, we'll hold that thought until after the next segment.
Okay, now for my question. This past Sunday, my man Michael Parsons became the 7th player in NFL history to have at least 50 sacks in the first 4 seasons of their career. So the question is, do you know who was the very first player to accomplish that? Y'all just kind of chew on that a little bit. Flynn, did you ever come up with your question, or?
Yes. So just because I was just done before to make sure that the correct answer I had was there. So this question is about Sam Darnold this season.
Mm-hmm.
So Sam Darnold, I mean, talk about a revelation for him under the Vikings and Kevin O'Connell and that offense. So Sam Darnold has 13 wins, and he's already also thrown for 30 plus touchdowns this season. So can you tell me, since 1970, who is the only other quarterback to win 13 or more games and throw for 30 or more touchdowns in his first season with a new team?
One name just popped in my head, but that's probably the incorrect one. But with a new team. Well, actually, 2 names now. It's 1 of 2. I think it's 1 of 2. So, I think I got an idea here. So I guess with that, we'll think about the answers to those questions. Meanwhile, why don't we get into our picks and predictions here for the rest of the schedule here? So, what was it? Week 16 and 17. Yeah. So far, week 16 and the first part of week 17. 15 and 4. I'm 15 and 4. Natale and Flynn both went 13 and 6. And against the spread, I did okay. I went 13 and 6. And Natale went 4 and 15. Flynn went 6 and 13. So far, before tomorrow's action, I'm at 172 and 71 straight up. Natale is 171 and 71.
Yeah, so Natale's 172 and 71 actually. So the 2 of you are tied for first place on that.
Hey, not bad.
Oh, nice. And
Flynn is 161 and 82. Meanwhile, against the spread so far this season, I have the lead with 138, 101 and 4. Natale has 124, 115 and 4, and Flynn with 119, 120 and 4. And so with that being said, we'll go into what we call the rest of the story. Rest of week 17 starting tomorrow. 1 Eastern. All 3 of these games here, the first 3 games here, are all going to be shown exclusively on NFL Network, beginning with the Los Angeles Chargers against the New England Patriots. Chargers coming in 4.5-point favorites. Looks like all of us are taking the Chargers to win and cover on that one.
Yeah, I mean, so are we liking Lad McConkey? I think he's got a good matchup. J.K. Dobbins, I think he's got a great matchup in this one because the Patriots defense ranks 22nd in terms of fantasy points allowed to opposing running backs. So and with Gus Edwards not playing, looks like a great matchup. for him. And then as for New England, names to watch. Ramondre Stevenson's got a tricky matchup going up against the Chargers defense, which ranks 8th in points in points allowed to opposing running backs. While Hunter Henry is facing the Chargers defense that's giving up the 12th fewest points against tight ends. So
that'll be very interesting right there. Next game, the Sunday late afternoon game, or the Saturday late afternoon game is Cincinnati at home against the Broncos. Cincinnati 3.5-point favorites. I'm taking the Bengals to win and cover. Natale is taking the Bengals to win, but the Broncos to cover. But I believe Flynn is taking the Broncos, and I guess that qualifies.
As an upset special, yes, I think it does. So I'll say this.
Yep. So you're liking the Broncos in this one.
This is not that hard to make because I'm picking the team with the better head coach and I'm picking the team with the better defense. So so that's why I'm picking the Broncos. To all but seal and end the AFC wildcard race. With the Chargers and Broncos clinching playoff spots.
All right, and then the Saturday night game. It's the Rams at home against the Arizona Cardinals in an NFC West showdown. Rams coming in 6.5-point favorites. We're all taking the Rams to win, but Flynn is taking the Rams, but he's taking the Cardinals to cover. Interesting.
Yeah, and I think the Rams needed the Rams needed a win and Seattle to lose to officially clinch the division. So it could very well be that next week's matchup between the Seahawks and the Rams is for the division.
Seahawks, Rams. I mean, who could have saw those two teams fighting it out for the division title?
Yeah.
I know I didn't. Before we move on, we have a little note for Natale. Best of luck, John. Even though I may be down now, I'll be ready for the rest of the games.
Yep, looking forward to the rest of this, Lucas. Can hardly wait.
All right. We have it's Natale and of course our man Lucas in the championship game here, so keep our eyes on that. Now we go to the Sunday slate of games here. Starting with the 1 o'clock games, we start with the Buffalo Bills at home against the New York Jets. Buffalo is 10-point favorites, which I think might be a little too low. But anyway, we are all picking the Bills to win and cover on this one. I guess not much to say about this one.
It's James Cook going up against the 11th ranked defense against fantasy running backs. Although the Bills receivers have a tough matchup because the Jets are 4th against wide receiver fantasy this season. So that's going to be a tough sledding. Got Khalil Shakir and Amari Cooper, who has really gone down the tubes. Because Cooper only has 1 catch in the last 2 games, and he wasn't a factor at all against Detroit. That he's only had one. He only has 1 touchdown, and that was in his first game with Buffalo.
All right, so we're all taking Buffalo to win and cover on that one. Next game is the Tennessee Titans visiting Jacksonville to play against the Jaguars. I've got this as actually one of 2. I've got 2 garbage games of the week, and this is one. Yeah, Jacksonville is only 1-point favorites, and looks like Natale and Flynn are taking the Titans to win. and cover. Meanwhile, I just went with an old saying: if it's a toss-up game, go with the home team. I'm just going Jacksonville, even though it's not going to be much of a big scoring game in my opinion.
I mean, I'm looking at. I think the big fantasy. I think big fantasy things in this one. Is Brian Thomas gonna go off against the Titans defense that has done pretty well against opposing receivers. But in the last matchup between the two teams, Brian Thomas Jr. had 8 catches for 86 yards. So a lot will be made of what transpires on that one. But we're also looking at Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby, so that are in a running back cup. Last week, Tank Bigsby scored 10.1 fantasy points, because he had 12 carries, while Travis Etienne had 9 carries. So you think you're looking at Tank Bigsby as having more chances and more touches on that one. And then as for Tennessee, that they're starting Mason Rudolph at quarterback. Of course, obviously you'll need to monitor Tony Pollard. Then Calvin Ridley's got a good matchup. So I think if he's your best option, I think you gotta start him, because the Jaguars ranked 25th against wide receivers. But if Tony Pollard can't go, make sure Tajay Spears is in your lineup, because the Jaguars ranked 31st against the run. So
Once again, Natale Flynn had the Titans. I have the Jags. Next we have the Las Vegas Raiders at the New Orleans Saints. And well, wouldn't you know it? This is my other garbage game of the
week. You got to keep getting that graphic up.
Yeah, this time I'm kind of going with the Raiders on this one. I just have this gut feeling that they might pull off a slight upset. Of course, not really a big upset, since they're only 1.5 point favorites. But Natale and Flynn are taking the Saints on this one.
Yeah. I mean, I really don't. I can't believe I'm taking the Saints because of the quarterback, but I just can't trust the Raiders right now, because the Raiders barely beat Jacksonville.
Huh. So that's how we go on that one.
And I mean, like, so, like, do we think anybody on the Saints is worthy of being started? Because you don't have Kamara, you don't have might not have you may have Olave. You don't have Taysom Hill. You don't have MVS. So, like, Saints defense, Kendre Miller, is that it?
Yeah, probably not.
Sounds like a toss-up to me.
Yeah, and that with the Raiders, the Raiders do have some good matchups. Jacoby Myers against the Saints defense that ranks 28th. Alexander Madison might be the lead running back against the Saints defense that ranks 27th. So.
Mm-hmm. So next we go to New York, where the Giants are going to be at home against the Colts. Colts are coming in at 7.5 point favorites. We are all picking the Colts to win and cover on this one.
And this is also my lock of the week.
It's Natale's lock of the week. Lock him in there, Flynn, if you would, please, sir.
Yes, give me 1 second.
And we have the Eagles are at home against the Cowboys.
Based on the points, I think Flynn's lock would have been the Bills.
Yeah. It's yeah, but I mean, looking at this one, I think Jonathan Taylor is projected at 20 points. I mean, go up against the Giants defense that ranks 28th against the run in rushing yards allowed, rushing points allowed. And then the Colts defense faces a giant. The Giants ranked 30th against defense / special teams offensively.
And then we go to Philadelphia, where the heated rivalry is renewed. The Eagles are home against the Cowboys. Eagles are 7-point favorites. We're all taking the Eagles to win, but Flynn is actually having the Cowboys cover this one.
So, I mean, I think not having Jalen Hurts out there it makes the Eagles' offense less dimensional.
Okay.
Yeah, but there are some very tough matchups nonetheless for Dallas because we looked out going up against the second-ranked rush defense in terms of in fantasy.
So yeah, I have to go with those chickens, even though I don't like picking them because I have this hatred for them, So anyway, moving on, we have an NFC South matchup with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home against the Carolina Panthers. Tampa Bay are 7.5-point favorites. We're all taking Tampa Bay on this one. Flynn is actually taking the Panthers to cover.
So yeah, I think you have to be inspired with how the Panthers have been playing the second half of the season.
Well, yeah, they have been playing a little bit better. I mean, they just need a little bit more mojo, I guess. So, let's see what happens there. The Dolphins are in Cleveland against the Browns. Dolphins come in at 6.5-point favorites. We are all taking the Dolphins to win and cover.
This looks like Flynn's garbage game. I would assume if we're doing my system.
I mean the Dolphins who can't win on the road against the Browns who are starting their third-string quarterback. Yeah. When you have that situation come up, yeah, you bet I'm playing that garbage game of the week animation.
All right, Indiana. Yeah, Cleveland just can't win. Of course, Miami has troubles on the road, so the interesting game there. A game that I think is probably going to be more important to Minnesota than the Green Bay. The Vikings at home against the Packers, and Minnesota only picked by 1 in this one, but we are all taking the home team Vikings to win and cover on this one.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting game. I see it coming down to a late field goal to win it for the Vikings.
Yeah, and also it's also kind of under the radar important for Green Bay too, because if Green Bay loses out and Washington wins out, the Packers are stuck with the 7th seed, and they're gonna have to go on the road against Philly instead of being on the road against either whoever wins the NFC South or whoever wins the NFC West. So kind of important for Green Bay to get one more victory to solidify their playoff seeding.
That's right. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention about the Miami and Cleveland game.
Yeah.
I didn't just pick Miami. I liked it. So that's my lock for this week. The Sunday night game, the Atlanta Falcons against the Washington Commanders. Commanders are 4-point favorites, and we are all taking the Commanders to win and cover on that one.
Yeah, I think the way Washington's been playing, Jaden Daniels against the Falcons defense, is only coming up playing 2 of the worst offenses in football. Now they get a dose of reality. I love Washington in this game and officially ending the NFC playoff wild card race.
Right. So I'm just hoping for another good game from Deshaun Robinson, because I always support my boys, whether it's Deshaun Robinson or if it's Cameron Dicker or if it's DeMarvin Overshown. I got my horns, And the Monday night game is going to be the Detroit Lions heading to San Francisco to take on the Niners. Lions are 7.5-point favorites. Flynn is taking the line straight up. Meanwhile, Natale and I are going to have the Lions for the win and the Niners to cover. I think it could be pretty close. I mean,
considering it's a Monday night game, I think it's going to be pretty competitive.
Yeah, it'll be it doesn't really have a lot of flash. It doesn't have sometimes what I would say it doesn't have much sizzle, but it does have
sizzle.
Some
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Hardly any sizzle, but a lot of substance.
But I think the NFL was onto something when they came out with the schedule and they put the Lions and the 49ers on that Monday night game because if you look at all the fantasy options that you have with Goff and St. Brown and Gibbs and of course Lucas having Amon St. Brown and Jared Goff, that there are going to be a lot of fantasy people tuning into this one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup there. So, so that's pretty much the rest of the Week 17 schedule here. Before we get to the answers to our questions, it is time. What I am going to do is call this up once again. If we can get it up here. Time to call up the old playoff machine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the winners by the majority of our picks and see what results come up after we get them. So the majority pair was the Chargers.
Yeah.
Then the Bengals. Then we picked the Rams. Buffalo over the New York Jets. Tennessee was the majority pick here. We all picked Tampa Bay. The majority here was New Orleans. We all picked Philadelphia. We all picked Indianapolis, as well as Miami. We're all taking Minnesota, as well as Washington and Detroit. So after this week, if the playoffs were to begin after this week, I guess not much really changes. Kansas City, they still got locked up at number 1 seed, so you ain't got to worry about that. You would have Buffalo at number 2, Baltimore at 3, Houston at 4, and Houston would host Pittsburgh, who would be number 5. Number 6, Los Angeles would be in Baltimore. And the 7th seed, the Broncos, would go to Buffalo to take on the Bills. Meanwhile, over in the NFC, based on our picks here, you would have Detroit at number 1, Philadelphia at 2, the Rams at 3, the Buccaneers at 4, the Vikings at 5, the Commanders at 6, and the Packers at 7.
Yes, sir.
So that's after we put in our picks, and that's how the projection would go if the playoffs were to begin after this week here. So with that being said, I think we can go ahead and try to answer those trivia questions. Let's get back to Dash's question. He said the record was 275 and Corey Dillon broke Peyton's all-time record. I said it was like 286.
Yeah, my answer was 283.
283. What did Flynn say? 278. So I knew it wasn't. I knew it was just a little bit more, but I didn't know it was that much more. Only 3 more yards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think I saw a little bit of that game when it happened. Man, Corey Dillon was a beast back then. So with that being said, Natale, let's go ahead and have your question again.
Yep. Yeah, this focuses on the Texans' 2-point performance.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm asking you guys, which team suffered this fate 3 times? The clues I'm giving you is their most recent occurrence was September 14th of 1963. Then it was 11/11 of 1962. The very first time they did that was October 10th of 1937. All 3 of those times they scored 2 points. Which team was that?
Well, my 3 options. Oh, before we do that, we have a question: J.K. Dobbins or Tyjae Spears? I mean, both are great, but do you have Spears over Dobbins right now?
Yeah, I would have Spears also. I think he's the safer option. We don't know
I-
how
I-
much
yeah.
work Dobbins is going to get right out of the gate.
I think both options are great, but I'll go with Tyjae Spears for the moment.
Yeah, I think I'd go with Tyjae Spears.
Same here.
Okay. Flynn was about to answer that one question about the team that scored 2 points, 3 games.
All right.
So,
Yeah.
So you had a few options, right?
Yeah, my
Go ahead. I'm going to hear your options first before I get Tim's guess.
My top 3 options. My top 3 options before you revealed the years were the Bears, the Packers, and the Giants. But all 3 teams were really good in the early '60s, so those are out for me. But I got to go with the team that was really bad for so many years. So during that time, so I'm gonna go with the team like the Pittsburgh Steelers.
All right. You're going to say the Steelers. All right. Go ahead, Tim. You have any thoughts?
I had 2 teams, either the Bears or the Packers. But I'm not going to go with either one of those. I think I've got another team in mind. How about the New York Titans, a.k.a. the New York Jets?
Huh?
Let's see. The Jets. Let me go through here. I got showing me the most recent 25 here. Oddly enough, neither the Jets nor the Steelers are even on this list.
Ooh.
The answer we're looking for, the Rams.
Oh.
The Rams had some bad teams in the '60s.
Yeah, Cleveland, Los Angeles. Yeah, Cleveland and Los Angeles. Yeah.
The Cleveland Rams and the LA Rams.
Right.
Yeah, it did happen to the Giants once in 1965. They scored 2 points in a game.
Yeah, and in fact, that was the last 31-2 game. But the Giants scored 2 points, and the Cowboys scored 31.
Oh, wait a minute! I gotta use the word that Tim uses here, an audible. There's a tie. So yeah, Flynn, you were partially correct. I'm gonna give you half credit because you were considering the Bears. Bears was also 3 times.
I can't do the Bears because that was not my answer. So
Oh
well.
Yeah,
okay.
I gotta call an audible here. It was a tie. The Bears was also 3 times.
Yeah.
Bears was in 1938, 1935, and 1931.
Mr. Maggins was saying a cup bounce back game.
So Cooper Kupp's going up against the Cardinals, right? So you think
Right.
the Cardinals typically play the Rams tough in LA, so I think it's going to be a game where it's going to come down to the end. So yeah, I do like Cooper Kupp to bounce back.
Okay. All right. Flynn, your question was?
So my question had to do with Sam Darnold's season. So with their win against the Seahawks on last week, the Minnesota Vikings improved to 13-2, and Sam Darnold has 13 wins as the Vikings quarterback with 30 or more passing touchdowns. Who is the only other quarterback to have those two in his first season with a new team?
I kind of thought of one or two people. I mean, I was thinking at first Joe Montana with the Kansas City Chiefs. He was good, but I don't think he was that good. But I do know one guy who was very good in his first year with a new team. My answer is it's the same team, Vikings, but it's the Hall of Famer Brett Favre.
All right, Natale.
Interesting. And this is a long shot, but for some reason he came into my mind. I don't know why, but I'm going to say Aaron Rodgers.
So you're looking at you're going to go with Aaron Rodgers, and then you're going to go with Joe Montana.
No. I was thinking about Joe Montana. I was thinking of Joe Montana, but my answer is Brett Favre in his first year with the Vikings.
Yeah, so you're looking at, but this is what I will tell you. So the thing you were initially going to go with Joe Montana. So in 1993, he only started 11 games, and he only threw for 13 touchdowns.
Okay.
So Brett Favre, he did throw 33 touchdowns in his first season with the Vikings, but he won 12 games. So he was one win short of that.
So close.
So close. And so for your thinking about Aaron Rodgers, so he played 4 snaps his first season with a new team. So you two came very close, John Natale.
Okay.
So the answer we were looking for in a year where he went 13-3, threw for 37 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, and we were going to go with 2012 Peyton Manning with the Denver Broncos.
Peyton Manning with the Broncos. Oh my goodness! How could I have forgotten that?
Yeah, and the thing was, and Peyton Manning was on the sidelines when that Joe Flacco, the Holy Flacco Hail Mary happened that Greg Gumbel called.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so my question is, of course, last week Micah Parsons became the 7th player in history to record at least 50 sacks in his first 4 seasons in his career. Question is, who was the first one? And keep in mind, sacks was not an official stat until 82. So who was the first one to accomplish that?
Wait, are you saying first Cowboy or first in general?
General.
First defensive
first in general we're
player
looking for. Never mind.
To get at least 50 sacks in their first 4 seasons.
I got an intriguing idea. I'm gonna sound like a homer when I say this, but I'm going with Michael Strahan.
I don't think it can be Strahan, but I'm gonna go with T.J. Watt of the Steelers.
Okay, so unfortunately, I do not see Michael Strahan on this list here that I see here. And you said T.J. Watt?
Yes.
Well, in his first 4 seasons, he came very close. 49.5 sacks in his first 4 seasons.
Oh, wow.
49.5 sacks, but
that's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. But what really is crazy is the number that this person did. The first player to get at least 40 sacks in 4 seasons actually had a total of 70 sacks in his first 4 seasons. It was the late, great Minister of Defense,
Reggie White.
Reggie White.
Wow.
Oh,
It was Reggie White.
Wow. All right. So here's what situation we have before we go. So this guy is in a 12-man league. PPR, two flex options. Starters are Bo Nix, Derrick Henry, Brian. So Derrick Henry already off to a good start. Brian Robinson, Devontae Smith, Nico Collins, who was a letdown. Trey McBride, T. Higgins, and John Smith with his bench of Kyler Murray, Rico Dowdle, Jalen Waddle, Ty J. Spears, and just lost CeeDee Lamb for the season. So. I mean, I would start Spears over Robinson.
I actually think this lineup looks pretty good. Yes.
I
think that's the only change I would make too. I would put in Spears somewhere.
Yeah, over on Brian Robinson. Yeah, and then Bo Nix or Kyler Murray.
Well, Nix is going up against the Bengals. Murray's against the Rams. I'd probably have to go with
I actually like Bo Nix here. He's been on fire lately.
Yeah, I mean, right. I do like Bo Nix a lot here.
Yeah, the Broncos are fighting for a playoff spot. The Cardinals are not.
Yeah. And also the Bengals defense he's facing this week has been atrocious so far.
Yeah, so I would think Knicks. I'll think that too. So there's what we got to say about that one. And let's see what else we have. We have Kyler Murray or Bo Nix. I'd go with Bo Nix and lost CD for the finals. Yeah, lost CD there with that shoulder here. So.
Yeah, still got some nice depth though.
Yeah, that might be good. So, I guess with that, we will go ahead and put to a close this edition of Fantasy Football Fever, the final show of the calendar year 2024. It's been a great year, but it ain't over yet. Next week, we'll recap Week 7. We'll look ahead to Week 18. We will tell you who is our 2024 Fantasy League champion. But in the meantime, in between time, as a good friend of mine would say, be sure to listen to Hook on Sports with John Flynn.
Yep.
He's got good stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever you find your podcast, you go to iTunes, you go to Spotify, you go to TuneIn. Anywhere you find podcasts, look up Hook on Sports, and you just might find this guy.
Yes, sir.
And Pen and Game Pick'ems, of course, had the week off for the holidays, but Pen and Games will be back this coming Wednesday, 10 Eastern, 9 Central on the A Pizzle 90 channel, so look for us guys to be back on that one. And of course, we always love your questions. Feel free to drop any questions here, and we'll try to answer them best as we can. So, I guess there's only one more thing I have to put up here, just our wish to you. There we go. Happy New Year to Mr. Flynn and Mr. Natale.
Yes, happy 20.
Happy New Year. We'll be back
in 2025.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll be back next year.
2025. And we're on Fridays now.
Yep.
No, we're on Fridays. Regular time now. So.
Yep.
So y'all remember, if you're going out on New Year's Eve, if you drive, don't drink. If you drink, don't drive, because we want you to be back with us next week for our first show of 2025. So, I guess that's enough said. Been a great show. It's been a great year. Can't wait to see what 2025 has, but we still have to finish up. We're still finishing up the 2024 season in 2025. So,
yeah, just because the fantasy season is over, we're not done. We predict playoffs and everything.
Yeah,
Still have hot topics.
and also not everybody is done with their fantasy seasons after this week, because there are some leagues that still do fantasy championships the following at the end of the regular season. So we'll be giving you starts and sits, and there'll be no game, obviously no more Thursday night football until next season.
Yeah. So hey, those of you who do this in week 18, you guys are freaks, but we still support you guys.
Yes, and we'll still do some things, and then we'll start doing all of our. I know Timmy and I are starting to do some soul searching, and we'll see who else will be doing some soul searching. And then as we review the 2024 fantasy season, and what we can take away and apply for next season, in terms of the players, in terms of strategies, and then we'll be doing that throughout the course of the next several months leading into next season.
Oh yeah. All right, that's very much what we have planned. So y'all join us next week. First show of 2025. We want to have you here. So on behalf of Mr. John Flynn and Mr. John Natale, my name is Tim McClelland. Thanks for a great year, everyone. It's been fun. It's been great. But as the great Mike Holmgren used to say, we're not done yet. Have a great weekend. Enjoy all the games, everybody. God bless you all. And as always, be a good sport. Happy New Year.